Hello and welcome to what might go on to be one of the most important energy updates that we have had. Now, as predicted, October 2021 was going to be extremely loud, extremely noisy. There was going to be a lot of stuff coming to the surface for humanity in general. And I think it's fair to say that that has definitely happened. Now we are stepping into November, which again is proving to be a huge month. So ladies and gents, it's really important that you take note of the key elements that are coming up, the key threads that are coming up, and don't disregard them because you think you've got your stuff together or you feel as if you're on your path and you're doing okay. Please bear this in mind. November is going to be shaky. It's going to bring up a lot for humanity generally. Okay, so please do not think that you are somebody who can avoid all of this stuff. Nobody is avoiding what is going on. The energy is extremely profound right now, in a good way. Although it doesn't feel like it at the moment for most people, because most people are, whether they're living in the fear or if they're jumping back and forth between, there is that level of being dragged back into the lower vibrations at the moment. And, that is going to continue to happen for the next couple of months into 2022. So let's get started with the energy of this month, November 2021. Okay, so first and foremost, we really do need to just touch on the fact that this month is going to be all around death, transformation, and rebirth. Now, I know some of you will go, because of some of my previous videos at the first word. However, it's a very important time. If you think about what happens in winter, and we are stepping into winter in the Northern Hemisphere now, things die off and they start to transform under the surface, and then they come back in the spring as rebirth. Okay, so what's really interesting is when I asked my guides, okay, explain that a little bit more, they gave me Rising of the Phoenix. Okay, now really interestingly, I have been channeling the words, you've watched the descent, now is time for the rising, probably for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been ever so interesting. These words have just been coming up and I'm like, okay, cool. That's going to make sense when it needs to. November is very much about authenticity and truth. You are going to be tested in a massive way through November, as the shadow energy of trauma and drama will continue to rise. And if you haven't experienced that through October, then I don't know where you've been, but there is a lot of people that are projecting much more drama and trauma and attempting to get people on their bandwagon. Okay, so it's a very important period of time. November and December are going to be standing in your truth, even though probably behind the scenes your knees are going to be shaking somewhat because you're like, oh my gosh, what's actually going to happen? So you will see many people through November and December do and hear what others have to suggest than to do the work to go inwards and be peaceful with their choices. So maybe there are people that have stood in their truth so far around certain scenarios, and then they will take an easier route, not easy, but what they perceive to be an easier route when the tough gets going. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have made a choice that you're not going to take this, and all of a sudden things are changing in your community and things are being brought in, which means that you can't go to certain places. So people will go against their will and take this. Now, I've had a number of circumstances where people have done that recently, and it's been quite eye-opening, the outcomes that they've actually had to go on to deal with. I cannot say to you enough right now, you must stand in your truth. You must choose your own choices. You must live with the decisions that you are prepared to make, and it has to be authentic to self. Do not do things for other people right now. Do not put other people's values and standards above your own. I've been banging on about this for the whole of 2021 and probably half, if not the whole of 2022. If you do not know who you are, if you do not know your standards, if you do not know, what you expect out of your life, how on earth are you going to bring it in? And it's exactly the same here. How are you going to stand in your truth if you are not somebody who knows your truth? Stand in your truth and be authentic, whatever that is, whichever side of the fence you are on, whether you're spiritual or religious, whether you are pro or anti. And I use the word anti as very, very, lighthearted, because anybody that wants to make a choice is being deemed as anti anything right now. It's going to be very, very fast through November, and sometimes extremely overwhelming. Of course, if you allow that, it's going to become very apparent what has been going on behind the scenes. For those of us that already know, it's going to be almost laughable because we're going to see it even more clearly, but it's going to become apparent for those who perhaps haven't recognized it just yet. And it's going to be very apparent the direction that this world on the surface, keywords there, on the surface is going to go. As I just mentioned, you're going to be asked to level up your decisions. You're going to be offered choices. It's down to people making conscious choices from here. It's down to you to use your discernment and feed your future path. So some questions for you. What are your values? What are your standards? What does your future world look like? And I've been doing this a lot with you guys on these videos. What does your future world look like? Are you willing and prepared to stand in your truth, no matter what, even when every part of this illusion that we are living in is making you question whether you've made the right decision or not? There is going to be a huge influx of energy hitting us through November. Now, we've seen this many times through 2020 and through 2021. You will have noticed that time is going much more quickly. Sometimes you are requiring to stop and sleep. I certainly know from myself, I've been having more naps than I've ever had in my life in the last 18 months, 2 years. You will have noticed that time is going so quickly or so slowly. Honor whatever your body requires. As again, we are going to be physically upgraded to be able to cope with the shifts in consciousness. So our cellular level DNA is being upgraded. There will have been times, this last week for me actually has been quite profound. I've almost felt as if my physical vessel is not quite where my brain and, my thoughts and the channeling that I'm getting, I just have felt like I've been a bit out of whack. This morning I've woken up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm back in my body. I'm feeling really good and I'm ready to go. This is what I'm talking about. All of our bodies are being upgraded so that we can cope with the higher level of consciousness. Okay, a lot of people aren't quite getting that. They're just feeling tired, or they're getting headaches, or they're getting ringing in their ears, or they're feeling sick, or they're on their food, they're off their food. This is what I call ascension symptoms. And when I'm talking about ascension symptoms, if you think about ascending, you're rising. Okay, that people get altitude sickness when they climb a mountain. This is exactly the same principle as that. So be aware when the huge influx of energy comes in, and it will be hitting us at different times depending on where our frequency is. So I always seem to be one of the the early people to get on this energy drive, for want of better words, and I feel it's because they need to almost see how some of us who are in the higher levels of consciousness cope with it, to make sure that those in the much lower vibrational frequencies, those that are, really living their life in fear and panic right now, if they're going to be able to physically cope with it. Okay. We are going to see more noise, ladies and gents. We are going to see more disruption and division. However, as I have mentioned many times, this is required to awaken those that are yet to see. There is huge truths to come out for those who have not yet been willing to see them. There's huge truths. Think about everything that you know. And it's down to us to allow these people to make their choice. It's not about us ramming things down their neck. It's not about us being right. Nobody is right. Nobody knows who's right. And actually, I'm seeing this huge division in the spiritual and the truth, or whichever community you want to call it, where my way is correct and this person is wrong. And, you know, because we believe this, it means these people are wrong. It's absolute nonsense. We are living in a polar world. We have to experience this. We signed up for this. We had to come and bring balance and unification to the world. And how can you bring balance and unification if everybody's already getting on and agreeing with the same things, or if everybody's right, or if everybody's wrong? Through November, your radar is going to be coming online. You are going to be recognizing where people are not being authentic. Now, you guys have recognized it in me. I've been speaking about it a lot. There are a lot of people out there who are not being authentic right now. You know, maybe your friends, maybe your family, you know, people are saying, oh, well, I'm just going to stay here because, you know, that isn't my purpose this lifetime. All of that inauthentic behavior has to come to the surface, and you may find yourself stepping away from the inauthentic ones. Okay, you might not. You might think, oh no, I'm going to help unify and balance and whatever. That's your choice. You are choosing what you are living. You must remember, if you are choosing to live in that environment, you are choosing what you are living. Now, there's a couple of dates that they gave me. November's going to be generally a very, very powerful month. However, there's a couple of dates that they gave me. Interestingly, new moon wasn't one of them, which I thought would be one of the dates, but they only gave me 2 dates. The 11th, 11/11 is a huge, massively powerful day. I don't know if there's a portal or something like that. I just feel as if that there is something massive that is going to happen on that day, which is quite interesting. I dated a guy with his birthday 11/11, and obviously I'm 2/2, so we were pretty powerful from a numerology perspective together. Interestingly, 11/11, I've literally had it confirmed to me. I think it was yesterday, maybe even this morning, that the article that's been written about me that is going into Soul and Spirit magazine is going to be released on 11/11. So that was a huge eye-opening moment as well, because I was told it was going to be December or, you know, start of 2022. So the fact that it's coming out on 11/11 for me gave me a little bit of validation that this month is going to be a big one. So do keep your eyes open for that, guys. I will be sharing it through my social media. The other date that they gave me is the 19th of November. Now, on the 19th of November, we have a lunar eclipse. Now, this is going to be bringing everything into our consciousness that we've attempted to bury. So I've been saying again for a very long time, this is the period of time, 2020 and 2021 into 2022. This is the time that we've got to heal. We cannot hide from it. If you are pretending that you don't have control issues, it's going to keep coming back up. And the 19th is when it's all going to resurface again. We cannot avoid it. We must step through it no matter what. We all need to be open to the reality of the people that we have been so far, without judgment. Okay, we've been living in a very low vibrational state. We have been living in a state where we are much more accustomed to fear and panic, resentment, guilt, and shame to that of love. This is all changing. We are collapsing this matrix, ladies and gents, and this November energy is going to be so powerful for it. But remember, you've got to stand in your truth no matter what, no matter who is trying to rock you, you've got to stand in your truth. Now, this month is going to be magical for those that are grounded, that can remain calm and in their truth. Remember to take time to ground, take time to breathe, take time for salt baths, take time for, you know, eating beautiful, nourishing root vegetables to help that grounded feeling. Go all out with self-love and self-care. Let go of drama. If somebody is sharing stuff which is just trauma and drama, and they're feeding that negative energy, remember, it's your choice to live in that. You are choosing to live in that if you're giving it your energy, if you are giving it your attention. Release your control. Firstly, look yourself in the mirror and recognize where you are controlling, where you are insecure, where you've got all of these feelings of, that you're not worthy. Recognize where they are. You are choosing what you are living. This is the month to free yourself. This is going to be the start, and it's going to be extremely interesting because there is going to be so much going on that you're not going to feel like you're being freed at all. But if you can stand in your truth, if you can remain in your authenticity, you are going to be freed. You are going to experience the absolute gold. We've got a big month ahead of us, ladies and gents. We've got a really, really big month ahead of us, okay? I'm going to link back to a short video I have done very recently. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I will be seeing you super soon in the next video, which will be the new moon video. Okay. Mwah. Lots of love, guys. Catch you soon.